Good evening, everyone. It's another edition of The Wine Review. I'm Ryan, the Wine Guy, showing you tonight's Sauvignon Blanc out of California from Bogle Vineyards, 2014 Sauvignon Blanc. Out of California, this is what the bottle looks like. This is their wine in the glass. I do enjoy the sort of paleness on the color. It is not totally pale, but it's just enough. I mean, it shows some vibrant yellowish green in there, but it's not totally dark like you might get from some Sauvignon Blancs from the Marlborough, New Zealand region, which is not bad. I'm not saying it's bad, but I like the California look. Let me read a little bit about their winemaker note online. The 2014 Sauvignon Blanc classically captures the character of this lively varietal. Bogle winemakers practice reductive winemaking techniques and cold fermentation in stainless steel tanks to create a traditionally styled wine, vibrant and bursting with flavor. Fresh lemongrass and ripe melon notes saturate the aromas of this wine, while gooseberry, asparagus, and a touch of white peach brighten the palate. This full entry leads to a crisp finish filled with zest of lime and refreshing acidity. This wine makes your mouth water for more. A few of our favorite pairings: spring greens, fish and shellfish, goat cheese. 2014 vintage out of California. Monterey and Russian River Valley. Harvest date September 1st to September 22nd, 2014. Release date November 2015. 13.5% alcohol. The nose. The nose is a little light. Although it is kind of bursting with a little bit of nice fruits. I would definitely say there's peach in there, kiwi. It's not a very aromatic wine, but it definitely does have little hints, tiny hints and pieces of scent to it. So as I said, there's a little bit of kiwi, I would say grass, lemon, slight peach on it. I wouldn't even say there's some sort of like dandelion touch on it. I am getting some sort of dandelion on this nose. Overall, like I said, New Zealand's tend to be more aromatic than California, or at least this one. So it's not like you really do have to really whiff it. It's not like it's just there bursting with all this aromatic flavor. So I imagine it's going to be more of a crisp, acidic wine that you'll get more flavor than you will of smell from. So the palate, yeah, you're definitely getting a lot on the palate. Ooh, Man, whew. Talk about acidic wine. This is just melting in your mouth. It is very mouth-watering. It's very refreshing. The peaches definitely lie out on that. I would even say there's the gooseberry they talk about, the hints of lemongrass, the little zest to it. I would even say there's even remotely some kind of vegetable that they say the asparagus. You definitely get some sort of like green vegetable to it. So like asparagus, maybe a little bit of green pepper, not like a spicy green pepper, but like a cooked green pepper that you would saute. So you definitely I said definitely twice, definitely. But no, you definitely do get those aromas of the asparagus and the green pepper with that peach they were talking about. Definitely like zest on it. A little bit of kiwi, so you definitely get like some tropical fruits on this. Very refreshing. Definitely a wine, I would say. The vintage is 2014, so you would probably want to pick this vintage up now. You would not want to let it go much longer, but now would be the best time to drink it. Maybe one more year. And because it is getting to the fall and winter coming up, maybe you might want to wait until spring or summer if you're one of those people who prefers to drink white wines during the spring or summertime. I personally don't mind. I'll be doing another Sauvignon Blanc in a couple weeks when I'm at my friend's house, although that one will be a New Zealand one, so I can compare that to this one. Based off of my previous Sauvignon Blancs, I tend to prefer the New Zealand ones. And maybe that's just because that's the climate in New Zealand. That's where they're more going to have good aromas. This one is kind of like the aromas are now fading away. So there's no lingering touch of, I would say there's just a slight touch of freshness. Like it kind of leaves my mouth feeling clean. Sort of like a very late mint to it, like a mouthwash aftertaste. Not like a terrible mouthwash, but like a late sort of mint on this wine. So it sort of gives me that like I said, you just brush your teeth, and a few minutes later you have that clean sensation in your mouth. That freshness. But overall, that's all I'm tasting. It just seems like my mouth is clean. It's not like I'm having any leftover flavors. My palate is clean. My palate is clear. So this is a very refreshing wine. So definitely something to enjoy rather in the summertime than I would say now. Going back to, as I said, comparing to the New Zealand wines that I've tried, where I feel that some New Zealand wines leave you with some good aftertaste. This one is just kind of, it's good when you drink it, and it has a slight finish to it, but overall the lingering effects do not stay. It's as if you're just drink water, and you get that refreshing feel to it. I would say overall this gives a 3.5. It is a very good wine to drink. It's very refreshing. I like the aromas on it. I like the flavors on it. But I just am not feeling a really good effect on it. I just feel that it's sort of like, I mean, the nose is what I really do like, but then as soon as I have the sip, like I said, that the first sip, it is like, wow, you are just powered with these sensations dancing on your tongue of the peach, which is really what sticks out, and then a little bit of the kiwi, the lemongrass. But I mean, just in those few seconds that I was talking, it's almost as if it's like fading away, and now it's sort of gone. Which for a Sauvignon Blanc, I do not technically enjoy. I like to enjoy my Sauvignon Blancs, and I'm not sure whether it's just the way Bogle does it, or whether it's California. It's my first California Sauvignon Blanc in a while, so I can't remember how the other ones were. But if I am remembering, I am thinking that the other ones have sort of had that powerful effect at first, then they sort of linger off. Whereas I know the New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs are really refreshing. They really allow the flavors to sink in and savor out. That's why I feel this one would be better be a food wine, not something to just drink by itself. And as I've noted in some of my previous reviews, there are some wines that are just meant to be best paired with food. Some wines you just drink by themselves and they're either too bitter. What's my favorite wine? Wow, oh boy, that is a tough one. I would say right now, it is a tie right now between Argentinian Malbecs and Australian Shirazes, with maybe some South African Pinotages and Cabernets, California Cabernets. So it's really all over. I really can't say I have a distinctive favorite wine. I mean, I like all wines, except really oaky shards. I can tell you right now, I do not like those buttery, nasty tasting shards. At least to me, they're nasty. That is one thing. Rather have a beer than a glass of wine. I used to be that way until recently, in the past few years, I've sort of developed a palate for wine. Also now with my diabetes, I feel that wine in general has a less adverse effect than beer, which has carbs, or hard liquor, which has a lot of sugar in it. Wine in general does have sugar, but because of the process of how it's fermented, it's almost as if it's fermented out. So your average bottle of wine maybe contains 10 to 15 grams of sugar, unless if it's a very sweet wine, which I don't drink. I don't drink those really sweet wines. But yeah, going back to your question, so I can definitely kind of tell you what I don't necessarily like. I don't necessarily like those oaky shards, those really buttery shards. I don't necessarily mind those lightly oak shards, which have sort of the nutty, oatmeal-y taste to it. And unoaked shards I love. Unoaked shards are basically like drinking a Sauvignon Blanc. They're very crisp. They're very refreshing. Usually they're very aromatic if you're comparing them to the New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs. This one is a California Sauvignon Blanc. So as I said, the nose is really hard. You kind of really have to breathe in. And then the flavors are like a one-hit wonder. They're there and then they're gone. So, however, I do like to give this a 3.5 because it does burst you with those flavors. As I was getting into saying, it is a very refreshing wine, but it's a food wine. Some things that I was trying to get into saying, some wines are best bet with food. I know some of the past wines I've tried, especially red. Some reds can be really bitter. Some reds can be really spicy. And those spicy wines you really want to have with a steak or a juicy burger or with buffalo wings before you decide to try them on their own. This Sauvignon Blanc, I would say, would be best bet with fish or lightly seasoned chicken before you can enjoy it on your own. So Whether or not I'm giving a 3.5 a fair rating. Hello, Mom. I know you like wine with food. And what about cheese? Yeah, cheese is definitely good with some wines. It depends on what type. I would say more of the French wines and Italian wines are good with cheese. I wouldn't necessarily have a Shiraz or a Malbec with cheese. So you really need to read the back of the label to see their food pairings because different wineries can make them differently. Not all Cabernet Sauvignons are the same. Not all Pinot Noirs are the same. I've had some cabs which have more smoke to it, and I've had other cabs which have had more vanilla on it, taste to it. So it really just all depends, and that's one of the things about wine that is so different about different beers because you can drink an IPA, which I used to drink a lot, and it's like IPAs and wheat beers and all of them. Like it's like almost all IPAs are the same, unless if you have like a sour IPA or a dark IPA or a white IPA. But if you really look at beers, a lot of beers in their categories are the same. There's no one same Cabernet Sauvignon. There's no one Sauvignon Blanc. There's no one same Chardonnay. And that's the thing about wine that I love is that you can drink a different wine. On the nose, you can get similar aromas, but with this one, I can say I get this. With other Sauvignon Blancs, I'll get that. And on the palate, as I've been saying, this one is like a one-hit wonder. You sip it, the flavors are boom, and then done. Whereas Sauvignon Blancs from New Zealand kind of linger in your mouth, they are kind of dancing on your tongue. The flavors just don't go away. You could go 5 minutes without a sip, where with this, I kind of, to keep the flavor alive, I need to do it every couple minutes, as I just did there. Now again, it's not a dry wine. It's a very high acidic wine, so it is very mouth-watering, very refreshing. Unlike some other wines, particularly red, which are dry, which leave your mouth puckering, you really need to drink it. But then some wines are really mouth-watering like this, high in acidity, and you can just sip and be good for a few minutes. So that's one thing I really do like about wines, that they're just, you never have the same wine twice unless if you have the same wine twice, and I very rarely ever drink the same wine twice unless if it's absolutely that good that I'm like, oh man, I gotta try this wine again before I die. Unfortunately, Bogle, which I do like Bogle Vineyards, I've had a few others. This one falls a little short from some of their others that I've tried in the past, which I will try again and review for you all so you can be updated on some of my past wines. I've been debating whether or not I should try wines that I've previously tried that I haven't reviewed, and there are some that I think deserve to be retried. And there's a couple of Bogles that I think deserve to be retried. But this one, unfortunately, falls a little short. However, not too short. It is getting a 3.5. And I say that because I feel that as I've been trying to make the point by keep answering questions, which is good. I don't mind answering questions. I don't mind going off script a little bit. Because this is why I do my reviews. I like talking to people. I like informing you all. But this is a food wine, and that's why it gets less than like a 5 or even a 4, but it gets more than a 3. It gets a 3.5 because I can see that the flavors would stick with this wine if you paired it with food, salmon, or any other type of fish, chicken. maybe even turkey. I would definitely say like a roast turkey or turkey burgers. This is that type of wine to pair with. By itself, it's good, but it's not great. So that's why, unfortunately, it does get a 3.5, but it is above that 3-star rating, which to date only one, I repeat, only one wine I have reviewed so far for you all has ever gotten less than a 3.0, a 3-star rating, and that was that Cabernet Sauvignon from Vampire, which got a 2.5, which I don't foresee myself ever trying anything from Vampire ever again. So if Vampire, you are watching this, I'm sorry, but I'm going to turn down your job offer in case if you were considering hiring me. But Bogle, if you are watching this, please consider me. As I said, your Sauvignon Blanc is good. It's not great, but it's good. But some of your other stuff, wink wink, I really have enjoyed. We can have it for Thanksgiving if it goes with turkey. Yeah, I think. I mean, if I'm working, but as you've told me before, we can always do Thanksgiving whenever. I definitely think this would go well with the turkey. I think with the turkey and well, I guess not stuffing for me, but turkey and roasted vegetables. Yeah, this would definitely go well with that. I could definitely see it bringing out the juiciness from the turkey and the zestiness from this wine. I could see that pairing well. So I look forward to that, Mom. And again, Facebook users or YouTube users, I'm doing this live on Facebook, so when you're wondering why I'm going off just talking in a tangent, I am answering live questions and live people on Facebook. It's just I don't think my Mac has a camera, or at least I can't figure out how it works. So I figured this is the easiest way to do live Facebook reviews, save it to my computer, and then upload it to Facebook. I think it works good. I've been getting so far lots of views on my YouTube channel, some more than others, some get more views. But anyway, I'm kind of going off now. This review has now just become me talking, which I don't usually like to do, but it's been a busy night. There's been a lot of people asking questions, which is what I like, which is why it's probably better to do these reviews late at night than as early as I do them, because I figure more people are going to be up this late at night. It's just sometimes when it's this late at night, I've already had a glass and I'm already on my second, so I kind of feel that I already have a biased feeling towards it. But tonight was different. I finished off a wine I had from yesterday, and then I figured, you know what? I'll just open this one and do one quick review before bed, and which is now got on to a long review. But it's time to end this review. So on the end note, 3.5, 2014 Bogle Vineyard Sauvignon Blanc. Again, nice aromas, nice, and you can all watch from the beginning to get those aromas and a palate. But just know it's nice aromas and a nice palate, but not nice enough that I feel it deserves 5 out of 5. But still, an overall good wine. Oh, yes. I don't know if anybody asked me that. They may have earlier. That just reminded me about price-wise. You're looking at about $11 for this wine. On sale, maybe about $8, depending on where you live. So I would say on average between $8 to $13 on sale maybe 8 to 10, not on sale 11 to $13 per bottle. One more time, I'll show you all the bottle. There's Sauvignon Blanc 2014. Again, in the next year, they probably will have a different vintage because Sauvignon Blancs typically are only good for the first 1 to 3 years. After that, like if it was the year 2020 and you saw a 2014 vintage Sauvignon Blanc, I would ask to speak to the manager and say, hey, this ain't good. I can tell you right now, this ain't good. So just know that for future reference. So if you go to your local wine store and you see a 2010 Sauvignon Blanc, be like, do you have a recent vintage of this wine? Unless, of course, it's like a really renowned Sauvignon Blanc. Very few might last 6 years, although I guarantee you most will not. So keep that in mind. Well, until next time, everyone, it's always been a pleasure. Enjoy your night, your day, your everything. And we will reconvene later in the week with another edition of The Wine Review. I'm Ryan the Wine Guy. Cheers.